Let's rewind to October 2010. John W. Henry and Tom Werner arrived at Anfield after a taxing High Court battle, completing a £300 million takeover to save a club in financial peril. It's all smiles and handshakes from Martin Broughton, but less than 48 hours later, those smiles were wiped clean, as the new owners watched Roy Hodgson's side lose 2-0 to bitter rivals Everton, leaving Liverpool 19th in the Premier League table. It's been 15 years since that day, and in this video, we're looking back at every trophy Liverpool have lifted under Fenway Sports Group and the crucial turning point that changed everything. Let's go. If you love big football stories, you're in the right place. We're a small channel, so your like and subscribe really helps us grow. Now, back to the trophies. When FSG took control in 2010, Liverpool were miles off where they once stood. The club that dominated Europe in the 70s and 80s was now stuck in mid-table battles, with an aging squad, limited funds, and no Champions League football in sight. John Henry and Tom Werner had rescued the Boston Red Sox from decades of failure. They believed they could do the same at Anfield, but English football wasn't baseball. There were no salary caps, no drafts, and no guarantees. Just pressure, passion, and fierce rivals ready to pounce. Their first step was stability. Roy Hodgson didn't last long, and in came club legend Kenny Dalglish, whose presence instantly lifted the mood. Under him, Liverpool found some pride again, and in 2012 they won their first trophy under FSG, the League Cup, beating Cardiff City on penalties at Wembley. It wasn't the biggest prize, but, after years of frustration, it felt like a reminder of what Liverpool could be. But the joy didn't last either. League form was inconsistent, and by the end of the season, Dalglish was gone. FSG wanted a long-term project, someone who was young, modern, and bold. That's when the club turned to Brendan Rodgers. Rodgers arrived in 2012 oozing possession football and belief. He had ideas, big ones, and by 2013-14, those ideas almost paid off in spectacular fashion. Luis Suarez, Daniel Sturridge, and Raheem Sterling formed one of the deadliest attacks England had seen in years. Liverpool came within touching distance of the Premier League title, only to see it slip away, quite literally in those final weeks. However, that season was proof that Liverpool could compete again at the top level. The fans believed, and the pride of being a Scouse-up began to take shape again. And although the following campaign would bring them crashing back to earth, FSG now had a taste of what success could look like. They just needed the right man to finish the job, and that meant Brendan Rodgers had to make way. October 2015. One man walked through the doors of Anfield with a grin, a vision, and a message that would define the next decade. We must turn doubters into believers. That man was Jurgen Klopp. Fresh from his success at Borussia Dortmund, Klopp arrived not just to coach, but to transform. He inherited a broken team low on confidence and consistency, but he brought something Liverpool had missed for years: belief. From his very first press conference, he connected with the fans. The energy, the laughter, the passion, it all felt so Liverpool. And slowly, you could sense something changing. The football got fast out, the press got heavier, and the mentality got stronger. Under Klopp, Liverpool weren't just competing, they were fighting for every inch. The first taste of that fight came in the 2015-16 Europa League. Those unforgettable nights, Dortmund at Anfield, Villarreal in the semis, it felt like the club had its heartbeat back. Liverpool reached the final only to lose to Sevilla, but it didn't matter. Something was building. By 2018, the transformation was undeniable. A front three of Salah, Mane and Firmino terrorised defences across Europe, and Klopp's heavy metal football had made Liverpool one of the most feared sides on the planet. Their style was electric, the fans were buzzing, and they marched into the Champions League final in Kiev with expectation written all over their faces. But that night, it all slipped away in the cruelest of ways. Liverpool started bright, confident, hungry, fearless, but early in the first half came a moment that shifted everything. Mohamed Salah went down after a heavy challenge with Sergio Ramos. Many fans still believe Ramos did that on purpose. Let me know what you think in the comments. He left the pitch in tears, shoulder injured, dreams shattered. And from that moment on, the balance tilted. Then came two moments that will forever haunt Liverpool fans. The first, a simple throw from Loris Karius, blocked by Karim Benzema and rolling helplessly into the net. The second, a long-range strike from Gareth Bale, dipping and swerving, punched straight into the goal by Karius himself. Liverpool fought, even pulled one back through Mane, but the damage was done. The final whistle blew, Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1, and Karius collapsed. Tears streaming, hands on his head, walking towards the travelling Reds to apologise. In his words, "My mistakes have lost the team the final." It was a heartbreaking moment, not just for him but for everyone who watched, because deep down, Liverpool fans knew how much this team had given to reach that night. In the days that followed, tests revealed that Karius had actually suffered a concussion earlier in the game, likely affecting his reactions and decision-making. Klopp would later call it an explanation, not an excuse. But by then the damage, both emotional and professional, was done. Karius never played another competitive match for Liverpool. That defeat hurt, it was raw. In fact, it was more of a lesson than a loss. Karius would never play for the club again. Salah would recover, hungrier than ever. And Klopp, well, he didn't dwell on defeat. He rebuilt. He called it turning pain into power. Within months, FSG backed Klopp with the final missing pieces. The sale of Coutinho to Barcelona would be crucial to the club's future. Alisson Becker arrived between the posts, calm, commanding, world-class. Virgil van Dijk became the wall every striker dreaded. And suddenly, Liverpool looked unbreakable. The next season, the Reds stormed through Europe again. Same hunger, same intensity, but this time, a new level of belief. And then came that night at Anfield. Barcelona, Champions League semi-final, 3-0 down from the first leg. Everyone wrote them off. But when you play Liverpool at Anfield, it's never over. Origi, Wijnaldum, 4 goals, a comeback that didn't just defy logic, it redefined it. The stadium shook, Klopp roared, and fans cried tears of joy. Liverpool were heading to another Champions League final, and this time, there would be no heartbreak. Madrid, June 1st, 2019. 90 minutes to erase a year of pain. Salah, back and fully fit, opened the scoring from the spot. Origi sealed it late on with that Anchor England. The 2019-2020 season began with fire. From the first whistle, Klopp's men played like champions. Relentless pressing, ice-cold finishing, and a defence built on stone. Every game felt like a statement, every win inevitable. By December, Liverpool were undefeated, sitting miles ahead of the pack. They travelled to Qatar and added another jewel to the crown, the Club World Cup, defeating Flamengo after extra time from a goal from Roberto Firmino. The badge changed, a golden crest now sat proudly on the shirt, but the hunger remained. Back in England, and they tore through everyone in their path. Manchester City, Leicester, toes all swept aside. The Kop began to whisper it. This could finally be it. And then, it happened. June 2020, after 30 long years of waiting, FSG's project reached its summit. Chelsea's win over Manchester City mathematically crowned Liverpool Premier League champions. Jurgen Klopp, eyes filled with tears, called it the greatest moment of his life. Fans across the world celebrated from rooftops, living rooms and city streets. It wasn't just a league title, it was deliverance. By June 2020, Klopp had delivered 4 major trophies in just over a year and 5 in total under FSG's reign. But Klopp wasn't done, because it was more of the start of a new era than the end of the journey. The following season tested everything they'd built. The global pandemic had emptied stadiums and broken routines. Injuries hit hard, especially at the back, with Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez sidelined. At one point, it looked like the entire foundation was crumbling. But Liverpool did what great teams do. They endured. By February, they lifted the Carabao Cup, beating Chelsea on penalties. 3 months later, the FA Cup followed, again against Chelsea, again on penalties. That's 2 trophies secured, making it 6 for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and 7 for the owners since the takeover. But there were 2 more trophies still up for grabs, so the Reds pushed Manchester City to the final day in the Premier League, finishing just 1 point short. And in Paris, they faced Real Madrid once more in the Champions League final, but this time, Thibaut Courtois stood in their way. Madrid won 1-0, and Liverpool's quadruple dream ended in heartbreak. Yet, even in defeat, something was clear. This was a dynasty. Under FSG and Klopp, Liverpool had transformed from a fallen giant into a global powerhouse again. And even as the years rolled on, the silver kept coming. In August 2022, they lifted the Community Shield, beating Manchester City 3-1, their first under Klopp. And 2 years later, under the bright lights of Wembley once again, they claimed another EFL Cup, defeating Chelsea in extra time, Klopp's 8th trophy at Liverpool. By 2023, Liverpool were a team in transition.
The midfield that once pressed with ferocity began to fade.
Age, fatigue, and injuries caught up. Sadio Mane had moved on, Firmino's magic was fading, and Klopp's famous engine room of Henderson, Fabinho and Wijnaldum was gone. FSG backed another rebuild. Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai and Darwin Núñez arrived. Young, hungry, explosive. But the process wasn't instant. The 2022-23 season ended trophyless. It felt like the end of an era was creeping closer. Then, in early 2024, came the announcement no one was ready for. Jurgen Klopp, the man who rebuilt Liverpool from belief alone, said his time was coming to an end. 9 years, 8 trophies, and a lifetime of memories. The day he said goodbye, Anfield cried together, because Klopp hadn't just won titles, he'd restored identity. He gave Liverpool their swagger back. He made them believe again. And when the dust settled, a new chapter began. Arne Slot walked in, calm, confident and ready, not to replace Klopp, but to continue what he started. There were doubts, of course, but Slot didn't try to be the next Klopp. He just focused on being himself, smart, tactical and steady. From day one, you could see the plan, the structure, the pressing, the energy, all still there, just with his own touch. And by spring, Liverpool were flying again. In April 2025, a 5-1 win over Tottenham sealed it. Arne Slot became only the 4th manager in Liverpool's history to win the Premier League in his first season. It was Liverpool's 20th league title and the perfect way to start a new era. 15 years under FSG, 10 trophies, from near financial collapse to the top of English football again. That's Liverpool's story under Fenway Sports Group. Now, I want to hear from you. What's been your favourite Liverpool moment from these 15 years? Klopp's tears in 2020, that Barcelona comeback, or Slot lifting the title in his debut season? Let me know in the comments. And don't stop here. If you want the full story behind Liverpool's rise, check these next. How Liverpool outspent Manchester City without breaking the rules. See how FSG worked this system. The £446 million transfer window that changed everything. All the signings currently reshaping the club. Hit like, subscribe, and tap one of these videos to keep the story going. I'll catch you in the next one.